How I got into it originally was I came up out as I tell you, it was established in March 1949, and I came up to the first annual general meeting in the Mill Hall up here the road.
That was a small hall there.
That was a small hall, and who presided at that meeting was Canon himself.
The great man from Banshee.
And that's the day I was roped in. You see.
Were you all very active, all the members? Was there many members for the staff?
Oh, there was a...
Would you have 20 or 25?
There'd be 35, I'd say.
Would there?
Different sections.
And they were all very active?
Oh, they were all very enthusiastic.
And got the work done. Did you start to build a hall here then, this hall we're in tonight?
Well, as I tell you, I read up the minutes, and at the second or third meeting that they held, I see from the minutes, they discussed the position of providing the place with a parish hall. And there was an abortive attempt made to purchase the old Mill Hall. And I see from the minutes that there was a meeting held at the Creamery, Lefen Co-op. And the decision to sell the Mill Hall to the Guild was defeated by 32 votes to 31 for £400. And looking back in it, I'd say it was the most successful defeat that ever took place. Because if it took place, I don't know would this hall be here at all.
Well, more than likely, I suppose you'd go onto the Mill Hall and try to improve the facilities
we'd
there.
go to refurbish it, I suppose.
That's right, and it would never be anything
We'd
like
never
the one
think
here.
it is.
Because I suppose this hall here made...
So after that decision, the whole aim of the committee then was to build a new hall in the parish. And from that moment on, they started to build a fund. They ran 45 drives, concerts. We established a drama group of our own. And we ran draws. We were building up a fund. And we were told in the early days that one of the best ideas of making money was to run a dance. So we decided to run a dance in Kilmallock. And the first dance we ever ran in Kilmallock was the first Sunday night in December 1951. The band that played that night was the late Major Watts band from Cork. He lived over near Kilmallock. And we made £100 profit that night. And from that time we never looked back.
It was a lot of money that time.
It was a show of money that time.
You would have no idea. Was it built into one go, or was there several times that you had to stop for the want of funds?
No, we didn't pull into the green field here until we had a fund of about up to £1,500. But of course, that was in the early 50s. Now we were starting to fund build. But in 1954, the Reverend Gerard Wall was appointed a curate here. And it was actually he masterminded the building of the parish hall. He was after being 3 or 4 years in St. Mary's Parish in Limerick. And he built the hall. And he gave us extra know-how of how to raise money. And the first thing he did was he started to run weekly draws. We ran 20 weekly draws at £1 a line for 3 years. That was 1955, 6 and 7. And the three of them, those 3 years realised £1,000. And we had £500 or £600 proceeds from the dances in Kilmallock. So by the time we came in here to the green field to lay the foundation, we had a fund of about £1,500.
Was there a priest always involved in the committee, Dave?
There was, definitely.
You would say that a priest is very active.
I'd say he's
he
very...
has the power to get money anyway.
Well, of course, he's a sort of a leader in the parish, if you like.
Yeah, he's looked up to.
He is.
And...
but at that time, of course, the two men that were looked up to in the parish was the creamery manager and the parish priest. Yeah, but I think they're gone into decline, to tell you the truth.
Would you say they deserve to be gone into decline a bit, maybe? The creamery manager isn't there anymore.
No. Well, I'll tell you, they tell you it's progress, I don't know.
Well, that's the word they use anyhow.
Yeah.
He bought the site.
We bought a site from a neighbouring farmer here.
And you
for
got,
£50.
you got going on the hall then. All voluntary work.
It was all voluntary work, except whatever skilled men we had to get in. We made the blocks ourselves, actually. We bought a cement mixer, and we arranged for 6 or 7 men to be here every evening, working the block maker. And we'd make maybe 100 blocks in the evening. That went on for months, until we had enough of blocks. And
You had to go on the foundations in, of course, for a start.
we had to go on the foundations in. Actually, the whole foundation for this hall was laid in one day. There was actually, I'd say 90 workmen here the same day. And there was about 20 of the ladies coming here. They provided them with refreshments. The first day, the whole thing went into one day.
And it was all done with shovels, I suppose.
It was all done with shovels and spades.
Dug
It
out.
was all excavated. There was no JCB that time.
No cement mixer, of
So
course.
that was 1956.
How many years did it take to build it, to the day it was opened?
We had a second visit in from Canon Hayes. Canon Hayes arrived here for the laying of the foundation stone the 15th of May, the evening of the 15th of May 1956. And I'd say they did representatives from every family in the parish turn out. I definitely say it was the biggest event that ever took place in this parish. He was accompanied by a motorcade from the church in Kilmallock to the place outside there where he laid the foundation stone.
Of course, he was a very famous man, wasn't he?
He was at his peak that time, I'd say. And when all the speeches and all were delivered outside there, they adjourned to the school then for the general meeting that night. That was the 15th of May, 56.
How many years then before he arrived again to perform the opening ceremony?
Well, unfortunately, he died in 1957. He died suddenly, about the month of March.
He never saw the completion.
He never saw it completed.
So,
But he gave the first day he came, he gave a very inspiring address about providing a hall for the parish.
and he, as you say, he never lived to see it opened. Who didn't perform the opening ceremony then? And what happened? What was the procedure in that
Well,
great
from
day?
June 56 and 57, the foundations were laid down, of course, and the walls were built. And Bat Sexton did the roof. And McMahon's of Limerick put down the maple floor. And it was actually opened, of course, before it was 100% completed. But I mean, the main structure and the roof and all was there. It was opened, the official opening took place the 23rd of March 1958. And the official opening was done by the chairman of the Muintir na Tíre, the national chairman of Muintir na Tíre at that time, the Reverend P. Morrissey. And there was a lot of notables on the stage that night. There was the county manager of Limerick at the time, the late P.J. Megan, and the late Jim Finn. He was an engineer in Sharafel. And of course, Father Wall himself. And Canon Quinlan, he was the parish priest here at the time. It was opened with a concert and variety items.
All local effort, was it?
It was all local effort.
And can you remember when the first dance took place, or the band that played for that
I
opening
do
dance?
well. The first dance took place here the 9th of April 1958. And the band that played that night was Tommy Cleary from Limerick. He had a show band on the road that time. The band on the road. And the next dance took place after that then was the 30th of that month, Morris Mulcahy. That was the first big band that came in here.
How long did it continue as a very popular dancing mecca then?
It continued as a popular dancing mecca for 25 years.
25 years.
We were coming into our height when the boom in the show band came on. We were just there at the right time. We were actually one of the first new halls to be built in the country. We were 3 and 4 years before Drumkeen, the Majestic in Mala, the Olympic in Newcastle West. We were the only new hall in County Limerick.
And you stayed successful right through, even those big halls were built, and Effin still remained very popular and drew the crowds all through. Had you any, was there, what would you put down for that? Was it the atmosphere of the place or what?
I don't know, it became a mecca for dancers. So did people come here from far-flung areas. Did people come here actually from West Cork, and they were coming hither from Tipperary and down from Clare. Big nights now that you'd have a big show band playing here. Who was in his prime that time was the late Donny Collins. The place would be thronged. There wouldn't be standing room here.
Then when did you notice that the decline started to set in?
There did a couple of declines occur. The first decline that I noticed was during the first oil crisis of 73. It went down, but it came back again. And it dropped again 3 or 4 years after, but it recovered again. But in the last recession in 79, it went down that time and it never came back. Down through the years, it went up and down. You know, it had its peaks and valleys.
Do you regret that this dancing is no more anything?
Well, of course, I'll tell you now, it's like everything else. I suppose everything has its day. The trends change. Years and years ago, before the showman shot was the fourpenny hop. And they're gone into the discos now. And
before that then it was the crossroad, I suppose.
It was, that's right, that's the crossroad. The whole thing is a progression.
But of course these discos are the job now.
Oh, they are, definitely.
Definitely, yeah.
They're attracting the youngsters anyway.
Yeah. Dave, that's a great rundown in the hall in Effin. I very near said the Effin Hall, which would be the wrong thing to say there. And thank you for telling us all about it and also about the Muintir na Tíre.
Thank you very much.
Now, after Dave O'Brien there, we have Veronica O'Shea back again and some more old-time waltzes. Now, after Veronica there, we have Jim Brennan, who lives here in Effin for years. But Jim, you're a former Newtown man, I believe.
Yeah, I came over here to Effin close on 50 years ago now.
Did that treat you well? They must have when you stayed.
They're nice people in Effin, County Limerick.
Well, you'd better say that, you know, now, because you'll be probably here for a few more years before you go back to Newtown, I suppose.
They're good people in Effin. I'm nearly Limerick man now. The only time I'm a Cork man is when Cork are hurling.
And what about when Newtown play? What were you?
Well, I've been for not so much. I like when Cork, but I'm in a bit of a spot like when they're playing Limerick in the Munster final.
You must be quiet yourself.
I have to stay quiet that day.
No, I might take you back a few years to life in Newtown while you grew up.
When I went to school.
When you went to school, Jim.
Yeah, to Willie Joe Holland, a tough man.
Would he slap you at night time?
he was no joke. But I can tell you, it was a tough time, like, to the start of the Irish. Like, and we didn't know much about Irish at that stage, but we got 3 months holidays. And Mr. Holland had to go to learn Irish. And of course, when he came back, we didn't know what he was talking about.
He wasn't so well up in it either then, was he?
No, but he was fairly hard on us. But he was okay though. He taught us manners anyhow.
Very important, I suppose, that time.
It was. Good teacher. Oh, you wouldn't, you'd have to call him Sir anyhow, when you'd be title him, himself and Mr. Buckley.
Back in that time, did they depend an awful lot on the stick to get education into fellas?
Very much.
Was it badly needed, maybe, some fellas?
I suppose it was not hard to keep us quiet.
When you left school then, Jim, what happened?
Oh, as Mr. Holland used to always say, you see, there was always a few slow ones in the class, you know. But he'd often say to him, "You'll be soon joining your brothers now," and that was the donkey in car. going to the primary, you know.
Well, you weren't in that category.
No, I wasn't in that category at all, you see. But he would say, you know, if he had a few slow learners, they'd be soon joining their brothers, going to the creamery, you know. So they couldn't, of course, some fellas couldn't learn. But I started to work anyhow, and would you believe how much I had for the 12 months?
I suppose back in that time I could hardly guess, but I suppose you got the £100. They're laughing here, Jim. It must be too small or too big.
I worked for £12 for 12 months.
The work wasn't too hard, though.
And the next year, I got £6, whereas I got 18 for 12 months.
You were getting bigger, of course.
I was getting bigger.
Well.
But them were the wages that were going that time. And you'd be starting about anything from 5 in the morning till about, you'd have night creamery that time. And you'd have to work till about 8 o'clock that night.
What was the idea of the night creamery?
To keep the milk fresh.
Oh, yes. That would be in the summertime, of course.
Yeah, there was no cooling that time.
But work wasn't very hard in farms that time. There wasn't much happening, was there?
There was a lot of work. Very hard work, because there was no machinery. You could spend a week walking after a pair of horses from 8:30 in the morning till 5 in the evening. No stop. And come in and milk 8 cows after that.
Milking cows, did you like that job?
I did. I was milking cows at about 14 years.
But of course, I suppose cows wouldn't have that much milk back in those days, would they?
Oh, well, they would. There was a lot of milk that time. There was. But then I moved to Effin. And I'm working here in Effin since. Worked the farmers here then.
Was there any difference between the Effin, or the farmers in Effin and the Newtown farmers? There it goes again, very near. Put
Very
my foot in there again.
Yeah. Not a whole lot. Heavier cows over here in County Limerick.
Better land.
Better land. Yeah, this is the Golden Vale, you know.
There's the plug for the people of Effin again there now. Now, Jim, did you see great changes down in farming?